to have on Dr. Gabe Rosenthal, a dentist in Los Angeles, California, and he went to USC School of Dentistry and graduated with honors. Dr. Gabe also grew up in a family of dentists, and his father's been a dentist in California for 4 decades. And we are honored to have him on today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, Dr. Gabe, being that you grew up with a father who is a dentist, and now you're a father yourself, what are the best tips and tricks for preventing sugar load with children and preventing dental caries and cavities?
Well, the most important thing is to have some diet that's manageable. If I tell you right now to just have vegetables and water all day, it's not going to happen. But for that time of day where you just have to have the soda and the cookies and the cake, just limit it to that one time of the day so that your teeth can recover.
I love that. You know, it's always a good time to not make it a whole day worth of sugar, but seclude one part of the day. Great for weaning down a sugar addiction, but it's also great for recovering your teeth. I didn't even know that. That's great. And what have you noticed in working with people who have multiple cavities regarding their intake of juices and sugary beverages? Do you ask your clients with cavities if they drink a lot of sugar?
Yeah, so modern dentistry has a high emphasis on finding out the history of the diet, finding out their history, if they're a new patient, of how many cavities and fillings they've had, so that we could sort of monitor their eating habits, their oral hygiene, and see how we could strengthen their teeth. And anything that we fix, we make sure that the diet's good so it'll last a long, long time.
That's a great idea. I've never had a dentist inquire about my eating, but I always tell them that my teeth are good because I eat well so they can tell other people. That's great that you go and take the time to ask your patients about that. And do you ever notice the difference among plant-based eaters and their oral health versus meat lovers and meat eaters?
Yeah, well, typically people who are on a high plant diet, when they come in for their checkups and their cleanings, there's a lot less to clean up. The proteins in the meats tend to really lead to this, what we call calculus, which is a real strong buildup on the teeth, which can only be removed by a professional dental hygienist or a dentist.
Wow. Is that because the meat is just stringy?
Well, it's just the bacteria has a lot more to work with. Your mouth is filled with all kinds of bacteria, and when you have proteins, it really works as a building block to develop strong plaque and bacteria and build up.
Wow. So another great reason to eat plants is they don't get in that bacteria build up in your teeth.
Not as much. You still have to take care of your teeth, right. Brush and floss after every meal.
It there.
But for the most part, if you keep that diet pretty reasonable, then your teeth will love it and they'll really respond.
So you said brush your teeth and floss after every meal.
All right. Well, I'm going to hope that you're going to brush your teeth after every meal, or at least when you have a chance, especially before bed. And just flossing, all we're asking is one time a day. That's all you need to do.
So in saying one trick that you can do to improve your oral health starting today.
The easiest, most reasonable thing I say is if you're having the sweets, you're having the soda, and you want to move on, even to just the rest of your day or before you brush your teeth, just take a little cup of water, go to your water fountain, and just swish that around, and that'll really bring the pH level back to where it needs to be before you move on with your day.
That is such a good tip. And I have to say that probably would help prevent you from wanting to go for more sweets, because you're kind of like swishing out the sweetness, getting a little change of taste. Maybe that could help prevent you from overdoing it with the sweets as well. Could be an extra bonus. And what are the long-term consequences for multiple cavities and dental caries?
Yeah, well, when you get a little cavity, you start off with a little filling. Now, once you get a cavity underneath that filling, you're moving on to crowns and root canals. So
your specialty, right?
One of them. But, the most important thing to do is to have your teeth live for a long, long time. I always say I want to make your teeth last hundreds of years, and that's because there's only so much tooth structure left. If you keep drilling and if you keep getting cavities, you're going to run out of real estate.
That's great. I love that, and it's a practical way to think about it. Just like with your eating, that every meal can either contribute to your health or can contribute to risks later down the line. Same thing with your teeth. Every time you brush and floss, you are enhancing the lifespan of your teeth. So it's really 100%. Good to think about that too. And so aside from, flossing one time a day, brushing your teeth, you said rinsing your mouth after sugar-sweetened beverages. What other beverages should we be looking out for to swish our teeth afterwards?
Yeah, well, if you're drinking anything from a sports drink to a soda, you're the pH levels going down, you have a lot of acid in your mouth. So anything that'll almost act like a buffer, something that can increase your saliva, so water's great, and then just, in moderation, you can have other things that you're used to.
And how does alcohol play into that? I know it's a little off topic, but I know that can really hurt the teeth as well, right?
Yeah, well, what alcohol really does is it just dries out your mouth. So the more saliva in your mouth, the better. That helps wash all that bad bacteria and all that acid away. So when you're having a lot of alcohol, you start to get a real dry mouth, and it really makes it more difficult to avoid decay and cavities.
Wow. So when you're talking about something like a pina colada with alcohol and tons of sugar,
it's a double whammy.
It's a double whammy. You better be rinsing out that mouth afterwards, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So we learned a lot today. Thank you so much for coming on, Gabe.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Gabe. He's a friend of mine, so I get confused. And can you tell our audience where they can find you?
Yeah, for more information, I'm really easy to find. You can just go to my website. It's GabeRosenthalDDS.com.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
For more on living healthy, living well, be sure to subscribe to EmpowerMe.tv. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.